Hey, Lone Vet.
We are here today to join in a national protest that Veterans for Peace and other groups have joined together to keep the pressure on the President of the United States to close Gitmo. He is a great president when he says he's going to do things. Not so good when it comes time to do them. So what we're saying is it takes more than saying you're going to do something. Like if your mother tells you to go to bed at night, you have to go to bed at night. You can't sit there and say, yes, mom, because sooner or later she'll get angry at you. And that's what makes us angry. We've been waiting for 5 years.
Do you know how long this specific continuous protest has been going? Or when it got activated? There was a guy who went on a hunger strike in solidarity, I remember.
It started with the hunger strike in Cuba.
Right.
We have about 100 prisoners in Cuba out of 180 that have been found innocent, never been charged, are waiting to go home. Their host countries had said they would take them, but we put so many restrictions on them leaving Cuba that they can't go home. So the scenario is this: a cab driver was turned in by his friend, ends up in Cuba, been there for 10 years and wants to go home.
Yeah.
And we won't let them go.
Yeah.
So when the president says he wants to close Gitmo, number one, they should lower the restrictions on, say, Yemen and Somalia and Pakistan, and say, okay, we find these people have no crimes, folks, and we're letting them go.
Do you know
now, if the Republicans scream and shout and jump up and down and throw a tantrum, Mr. President, tell them to go to hell.
Well, okay, so if and when they get resettled to other countries, are they getting reparations for false imprisonment? Much as there were Holocaust reparations or for the Japanese internment camps, that sort of thing.
Those kind of talks are held in secret, so we don't know.
Yeah.
Now, does the United States do well on reparations? Ask the Native Americans.
Yeah.
Ask the African Americans who are slaves or come from slaves that were promised reparations and never got them.
Right.
We broke every treaty there is with the Native Americans. So we're not very trustworthy when it comes to making promises. The international nations have to say to the United States, if you held those people for 10 years and never charged them and they are innocent, you owe them a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
You make them whole as much as you can do.
Yeah.
That's a union term. When we win an arbitration, we say to the arbitrator, we want our client to be made whole.
Yeah.
That means any money they lost.
Right.
The housing they used to have, businesses that they used to
Right.
have. You make some kind of reparations on that. I would just like to see them free and negotiate with the American government from a standpoint of their nations and the rest of the nations and the Security Council getting together and saying to the United States, what you did was wrong. So you don't have a lot of defense in this. So we're going to figure out how much it is worth 10 years of your life that you helped destroy, that you helped damage this human being. What is that worth?
Yeah.
I don't know. Millions, tens of millions.
There was one who went through, I think it was the European Court of Human Rights, and he ended up getting something like the equivalent of $70,000, but he's so traumatized and psychologically fragile that he can't even acknowledge or be aware of the money because he's literally destroyed emotionally from being wrongfully detained.
We know they tortured the prisoners.
Yeah.
And the prisoners that probably, and this is just my opinion, but it makes sense to me because I was in the military, and this is the way the military thinks. The people that deny their guilt,
Yeah.
the innocent people probably were tortured much more than the people saying,
Oh.
hey, I'm guilty, I'll tell you anything you want to
Oh
know.
yeah.
So if you put me in Gitmo, I would make up things.
Oh.
I would
Start
everybody
confessing.
over.
Yeah, that's very medieval. That's why in the Middle Ages there was a move against torture, is because it's very unreliable.
Yeah.
Well, great job, Lonvet. You're amazing. Thank you so much for being here.
And all the protesters have to keep a sense of humor. I know this is serious stuff, otherwise you get depressed.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
You get burned out.
Yeah.
Because the more you learn, the more angry you get. So you
Yeah.
have to figure out a way of releasing that anger.
Yeah.
And a
Sup-
really great writer by the name of well, most of the journalists have learned to take really terrible news and information and separate it. And that's what you have to do. You have to separate it.
Yeah. Good advice, Joe. Thank you so much.